Hello and welcome to Kingdom Kids. This is the last week of our series Go. What are some things superheroes do? Some superheroes have the power of invisibility. Others have super strength or super speed. One thing most superheroes have in common though is that they have one main job, and that is to protect. Batman protects the people of Gotham City. Superman protects the people of Metropolis, and the Avengers, they protect the world, basically. Superheroes protect people. That's what they do. So why don't you jump up on your feet and dance and sing along to this song that talks about how Jesus is better than any superhero.
And I know that you're always gonna be there. Yeah, you're always gonna be there. When I'm in danger, when I'm in trouble, when I'm surrounded, well I know that it's you that I can count on, that I can always count on. Hear me shout it out. Jesus is better than any superhero. Jesus is my best friend. Whoa, whoa. Jesus is better than any superhero. Jesus is my best friend. Whoa, whoa. Stronger than Superman, faster than the Flash, bigger than the Hulk man. Jesus, what a friend. Stronger than Superman, faster than the Flash, bigger than the Hulk man. Jesus, what a friend. Stronger than Superman, faster than the Flash, bigger than the Hulk man. Jesus, what a friend. Stronger than Superman, faster than the Flash, bigger than the Hulk man. Jesus, what a friend. Stronger than Superman, faster than the Flash, bigger than the Hulk man. Jesus, what a friend. Stronger than Superman, faster than the Flash, bigger than the Hulk man. Jesus, what a friend.
So a quick review. This month our series has been called Go. Where are we going? We are going out into the world to live for Jesus and share Jesus with other people. Last week we talked about readying ourselves with the armor of God. The armor of God protects us just like superheroes protect us from harm. They stop villains from hurting people. But God does way more than that. Here's our big idea. God will protect our heart and mind. Now repeat after me. Are you ready? God will protect my heart and mind. Awesome. You did a great job. So how does God protect our heart and mind? And what does that really mean? Today, we're going to look at the story of a man named Paul. I'll tell you more about him in a second, but for now, let's see what he says to us in Philippians chapter 4.
Philippians chapter 4, verses 4 through 9. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say rejoice. Let your reasonableness be known to everyone. The Lord is at hand. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. What you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you.
Did you hear in verse 4 where Paul says, rejoice in God always? He even says it a second time. Does anyone know what rejoice means? Rejoice means to feel or show joy. Here's a question for you. Where do you think Paul was when he wrote this letter? Some of you might think he was writing this from his house or while he was visiting with some friends. But guess what? Paul was in jail. He was in jail for telling people about Jesus, and a lot of people weren't too happy about that back in those days. I don't know about you, but if that had happened to me, I don't think I would have felt like rejoicing. How about you? When life is hard, it can be really difficult to rejoice and be happy like Paul tells us. It can be hard to go, but it's possible. Listen to what else Paul says in Philippians chapter 4, verses 11 through 13. Now that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Paul says he learned to be content. Content means to be okay and at peace. He said he learned to be that way no matter what. So how did he do that? Verse 13 says it is through God. Maybe you've heard that verse before. Does it mean that through God we'll be able to make an impossible shot in basketball or walk on the ceiling? No. What it means is whatever the situation, whether it's good or bad, if we stay close to Jesus, Jesus will help us. Jesus will bring us joy no matter if things go our way or not, and Jesus will protect our heart and mind. We can still be joyful no matter what because God protects our hearts and minds. Take some time after our lesson and pray with your parents or your grandparents or whatever adults you're with today, and encourage one another that no matter what it looks like or what you're going through right now, Jesus is greater and he always has your back. As we learned today, Jesus is way better than any superhero because Jesus protects something those heroes can't. Jesus protects our hearts and minds. Let's close out our lesson today by declaring that there is no one greater than our God. See you next week.
You are the light that I have that will lead my path. You are the hope that's for sure that will always last. You have my future in your hands. I can always rest.